Well, welcome to today's webinar. We're very glad that you're here today. We will be running a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. And if you have any questions, please feel free during the webinar to go ahead and add your questions in the chat, and we will answer them at the end. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending a recording of the webinar when it's available. I'm Dr. Janet Six, Senior Product Manager at Tom Sawyer Software, and today we're going to be talking about the new capabilities available in Tom Sawyer Perspectives 13.2, which was released today. So we're going to be discussing our enhanced React and Angular support, as well as our continuing development of our React-based web client framework, which makes it easier for developers to integrate and build modern web applications. We're also going to be speaking about improvements to our hierarchical layout. In fact, we've seen a reduction in edge crossings up to 30 to 50% on average. And we'll also be discussing the way that you can now enter Cypher or Gremlin queries directly as an end user in Perspectives applications. And we'll be taking a look at a couple of other capabilities as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is to take a look at the custom queries. And so I have a application pulled up over here. So we have, oh, my demo went to sleep here. So we have here a knowledge graph that is connected to a database, which is showing us information about sales, which products were bought, who were the buyers, which categories of products were being bought, and who are the suppliers of those products. So we see over here on the left side, we have a knowledge graph. And on the right side, we have a swim lane visualization of this same graph that will show us categorization. And then when I select an item, we'll see the details pop up over here in the inspector view on the left side. And so we can interactively load information to this visualization. So I'm going to open the load neighbors capability. And so here is where we have an option of loading data that's related to what we just selected in the view. And so I'm going to click edit here. And here we get a choice of what is it that we want to load. So I'm going to say load the customers. So I'm going to say okay. And it will load the information, and as you see, it will change right in front of our eyes. Now, what we're going to do is to add this custom capability to have the user enter not only a graph pattern, but maybe they know exactly their Cypher or their Gremlin query that they want to add. So I'm going to open the designer. That here on our other screen. So this is the application that we were just looking at. Over here on the left side, we have the components of our application. We see our schema, our data integrator. In this case, we're connecting to a Neo4j database. The drawing templates, how are you drawing the nodes and the edges in the visualizations. If we want to apply analysis, we can do that here as well. And then here's where we have the different drawing views. So remember, we had the two drawing views, one with swim lanes, one without. And we also had the inspector view as well. And so looking here at our view layout, we see that dashboard layout that we just saw when the application was running. And so what we want to do is to go ahead and add the ability to enter, for the end user to enter custom queries. And so we're going to go ahead and add that to the swim lane view. So I'm going to come over here to the swim lane view visualization. And we're going to open the definition. This is where we define what is showing in the drawing view. Now, we want to add an action to the toolbar. And so in order to do that, we go to Behavior, Toolbars, and then go to Default Toolbar. And this is where we're going to define what is it that we want to show in our toolbar across the top of the screen. And so we are going to add to this. So here is our query builder and our load neighbors, that load neighbors capability that we just used. That's where this was defined to be part of the toolbar. So we are going to go in and we're going to say add a new item. And here we have many predefined actions that are available with no code right here in the designer. And you can see these little icons here, which show you, are these actions available for the modern React-based web client framework? Are they available for a classic framework? Are they available for desktop? That's defined here. And we want to add the ability to, as you can see, we have a lot of those actions available. So now what we want to do is add the ability to run a custom query. So I'm going to press OK. And here it's going to ask me some questions like, which integrator do you want to work with? Well, we already know which integrator. We only have one of those, the Neo4j integrator in this application. So that's already chosen for us. And I'm going to click OK. And you'll see how it put it here at the end of our toolbar. Now, it's not exactly where we want it. Let's put it where we have the query builder and the load neighbors. So I'm going to just press this up arrow. And there we go. So now we have the icon in the correct place. And so we're going to open our web previewer again. And so here we are starting fresh with our application. And you can see here where we have added the new toolbar action right over here. And we hover over it and it'll give us a tooltip. Here we're going to run a custom query. So I'm going to click that. And again, no code was necessary for this. The dialog is ready for us to enter a Cypher query. So I have a Cypher query here ready to go. So we want to load some suppliers. And so I'm going to click Run. And then it's going to interactively load that information for us. And so you can see how we have the knowledge graph view, and then over here we have the categorization with the swim lane view. And so we can interact with the information as we see here to find out more details, or we can load more data if we wish. Okay, so now I am going to go to our more information about our new modern web client framework. So we did release this last year, and we're continuing to develop it and add more capabilities to it. So we have, let's see, my screenshot over here, ready for us. So this is an example from our new web React or React-based web client framework. We have added native support for our charts and also timelines, the visualizing the graphs as they change over time. Those are now in native React. We also have, as you can see here, are the trees and the inspectors and the tables and the dialogues, which we have previously released. We have made some improvements to the way the table pagination works here as well. And then, of course, we do have capabilities for our other views as well when it comes to React. And what this all means is that it makes it more seamless and easy for you to integrate Perspectives applications into your web client environments, or to integrate views from Perspectives into existing web applications. So we have the new capability that we did used to have in the classic web client framework, but now we have it available in our new modern web client framework view, and that is an invokable dialog. So you have the ability to open a dialog box and have it invoke a view that you've defined. So here we have it showing a chart view. And in fact, you can have it show any type of view. You can open up a dialog with a drawing or a map or a table or inspector, any chart or any view that you have defined. You also have capability to open a dialog with HTML commands as well. So we're going to take a closer look at this new invokable view capability that we have in the modern web client framework. So I'm going to bring back the designer here. And we have here. Okay, so we have here, this is a sample application which is visualizing an electricity distribution network. And so here we'll take a quick look here. So we see here our nice tree view here on the left side here with the modern framework. We also have, here's the visualization of the network. And if you go in, you can see all of these many details. And then we have here the table below. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add an invokable view dialog where we can select an item here in the drawing view and then open up information about that element. So we're going to go here. So how do we do that? So we're going to go here. So again, here are our views. Here on the left side, we have these several views that are defined. And then we have the view layout. And again, this is just showing what we were seeing in the application where it's running, the different views and the placement. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to select an item here in the drawing view and open an invokable dialog with an inspector that tells us information about that particular element. So we're going to go over here to the drawing view, and then we're going to go to behavior. And remember, we were just looking at this a little while ago when we added a custom query capability. We did that in the toolbar. But this time we're not going to work with the toolbar. We're going to go ahead and create a new context menu. So I'm going to select context menu, and we're going to add an item. So we're going to add item. And so again, here is that list of actions that are available directly in the designer with no code needed. And we are going to keep going until we see down here that we have the ability to add these invokable dialogs, either a view type or an HTML type. So we are going to select Open View Dialog. And so now the designer is going to ask us some more information. So what is it that we want to do? We want to show details. So we're going to call this Show Details. And now it's going to ask us, well, which view do you want to show? So remember here on the left side in the designer, we've shown that we have several views that are defined. So we had previously defined an inspector. So I'm going to select that. And then we're going to change the text here to say in the context menu itself to show details. Okay, and that's it. Now we are ready to go. So we're going to reopen the web preview. And here is our electric distribution network. And let's go ahead and we're going to zoom in so we can see. So I'm going to select one of the items, and then we're going to right click, and there is our context menu that we just created and show the details. Oops, let me try this one more time. And there it has popped up our inspector view. And so we can see the details of this particular element. And so the inspector has been defined so that it will show us different attributes if there are different attributes for that element in the model. So if you are selecting basically a node element, it's going to show different attributes. And if you're going to select a connector or an edge element, there's different attributes for that. And the inspector view will automatically show the attributes that are appropriate for your particular item in your graph. And something that we didn't show today, but something that you can do is that you can define how large is your invokable dialog. So you can do that here as well. Here we changed, or we just took the default. So sometimes you need to have something larger. And so let's take a look at that. And so the, as I mentioned before, the invokable view dialog can be used to have any view type, and that includes drawing view. So we have an example here. So here is a crime network application, and you see here on the left side in the tree, we're studying certain types of crimes and certain locations of the crimes. And then over here, you can see here in the background where we have focused in on part of the crime network. And you can see here how we have done some analysis. Some nodes are larger. That indicates these are more key people in the crime network. And you can see the rest of the network is also laid out with our bundle layout, which intelligently groups edges together. So now here we were studying the social network. Who's working together, who are key people in our crime network. But sometimes we need to see a different view of the data. And so here is where we opened the invokable view dialog that is showing us the people and incidents. So here we have shown the drawing view of kind of like the zoomed out view. Overall, what's happening here in our crime network? Who are the criminals? What are the crimes they committed? Who committed what crime? And here we can see that overall view. And this is also interactive as well, so we can zoom in and out and such. So that is the example with the drawing view. We can also do this with the map view as well. So here, again, we have the same application with the social network analysis for the crime network. And you can see here in the background, we have a orthogonal layout of our social network that we have. And here we have opened a map view so we can see, well, where are these incidents occurring? So again, you're able to create these invokable dialogues with any view that you have defined. You can interact with those as well, zooming in and out and all of that. Your views are synchronized. If you're going to select an item in one place, it'll be selected in the other. And then, of course, you can do things like making the view dialog of a particular size. Okay, so I'm going to close this. And so there were many improvements that were made to the React-based framework. And so you can see more details when you go to our website and you come down here to the release notes. And again, this was just released earlier today. So we have, as you can see here, we had a lot of work that we did in the views area. And we added, as we mentioned, the support for the invokable dialogues that we just looked at. We have the new chart and timeline views that are now in native React. And we've added some other capabilities as well that strengthen it, including the way that the table is laid out, and being able to cancel your layout in the modern web client framework, and so on. Now, one of the other important things that we did in this release with the new web client framework is that we showed how to work with Angular and also web components. And so, okay, let's see. So again, if you go to the website, and here you go down to the bottom, we have our documentation online. And so we are going to go straight to the Angular tutorial. And so we have many details here that are going to show us what do you do if you're working in an Angular environment. So our tutorial is going to have instructions on your prerequisites, what you need ahead of time, what is it that you're trying to do, make sure that your goals are clear, and then actually how to set up the Angular project, and also to understand how to work with the components that are going to be available for your application within Perspectives. And so there's a lot of details here that is going to help you speed up using Perspectives with your Angular applications. And if you're working with a more generic web components type of environment, we also have a tutorial for that as well to show how you can quickly speed the integration of Perspectives, views, and applications into those environments. All right, good. Now let's see. Let's take a look here at the designer, and so common question is, well, once you build the application, then what do you do? So you need to build the application, and then you also need to deploy it. So we have this capability here called generate web application code. And so when I click this, we have a new dialog where we can enter our Maven components and other build or deployment information and press OK. And it's going to go and create many files for us. And so we press OK. And those have been put directly into the folder. And those, and I have this pulled up here on the other side. Let me grab that. Pardon, just a second. Pulling up my, I need to find that tab just again. Okay, here we go. All right, so here is our application that we are working with. And so you can see here in the project file, we have a new folder application that we created with the Generate Web Application Code action. And so what that did is it automatically created all of these files and scripts for us that are specific to the application that we built. And in the README file, it's going to have instructions in detail. What do you do next? And which commands, for example, are you going to apply in order to build your application in Maven? And then we also have here in the deployment library, you can see that we have the Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform's directories. And this is where we're going to find information on how to use our scripts and other guidelines on how to speed deployment of the Perspectives application to your Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform environments. And so let's take a quick peek here as well. And this again was automatically created for the specific application. So you have these commands and scripts to use in order to speed your deployment to Kubernetes in this case. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so we have also done a lot of work with hierarchical layout. And so we have the let me bring up this screenshot again. Our layout team has been working for quite some time to further improve our hierarchical layout with orthogonal edge routings. If you're familiar with our applications, you know that we have had a very high quality layout available for some time, but we wanted to continue to improve it. And we wanted to improve on the number of edge crossings that we had. And so, in fact, we were able to improve up to 30 to 50% on average. We were able to reduce the edge crossings in hierarchical layout with orthogonal edge crossings. And so we have an example here. And so you can see very many details here. And also we have the nested drawing structure as well, which is also a complicating factor in reducing the number of edge crossings. And we were able to do that and able to get high quality drawings such as this. So that is one example of our drawing. And then we have, here is another one as well. And this is our microwave network example. But again, you can see how Perspectives layout is able to handle the detail of more complex graphs and convey that information in a useful and clear manner. And here again, we have a nested structure, meaning that we have a graph inside a node, but at the same time, we don't lose any detail. You can still see how, for example, this node is connected to this cluster. This cluster, if we wanted to interactively open, we could do that as well. There's a nested drawing in there. But the point being that you can see the level of detail that you need in your drawings without losing any of the details. And so, yes, we were able to improve upon that as well. Now, taking a look at some of the results, and here I have this pulled up for you. So we ran some internal tests, and you can see the results of these as well. So these are the number of edge crossings previously, and then also in Perspectives 13.2. And as you can see here in the chart, we were able to reduce the number of crossings significantly in many cases, right, by a lot. So, so we're always continuing our work to make sure that we have the highest quality drawings. Okay, good. All right. Now, we also did some additional testing, moving on to our next thing with our map support, which we've had for some time. But we did some additional testing here in this release. And so I want to bring your attention here. So we have two, or actually three types of map views. The first one here that we're going to look at today is the Tom Sawyer map, meaning that you can have all the capabilities that you have in Tom Sawyer drawing, and like as we see here with a, we have a nested drawing here that's embedded right into a map view. So that you have all of those advanced visualization capabilities. You can use the Open Layers Map API within the Tom Sawyer map view. And we did some additional testing here in the Perspectives 13 release. And as you can see here, we work with many other types of providers. Some of them are open source, some of them are not. You would have to have a license key for some of these providers. But the point being is that you can take these capabilities that you have here with the Tom Sawyer map view and the Tom Sawyer drawings and add them to your Open Layers map capabilities that you are already using. And so we have an example here where we added a heat map to a application with a Tom Sawyer view. And so we can see the information here, a couple of spots, a couple of hot spots, and then here we have the drawing view. And in fact, you can open up these locations as well and see a nested drawing there. Now, we also did capabilities with the Open Layers map view. And so again, showing here as well. So, here are some additional sources that you can work with as well in the Open Layers map view. And so as we can see here, this is more of a traditional type of map where you're going to see the markers and the polylines connecting them. Okay, very good. All right, so we are going to take a quick look at two example applications. So we have that are now shipping as part of Tom Sawyer Perspectives. So let's see, I'm going to bring that over here to our screen. Okay, so first, I'm going to bring over our supply chain demo. Okay, so this demo is not new, but what is new is that it's now part of Perspectives. And so if you so now it ships with Perspectives starting today. So let's take a look at this application and see how it works. So we are going to take a quick look at the supply chain for the fountain pen. So I'm going to right click and say display chain. And so you can see here how the visualization automatically is showing for this chain. We can select elements here and see details in our inspector view. You can see how when I selected plastic up here in the drawing view, we had the synchronization with the table view and it highlighted there as well. Okay, so supply chains, they can be problematic. What happens with these supply chains as we encounter problems? So let's take a look. So let's take a look at this brass clip item that's part of our supply chain, and let's do some what if analysis. What if the factory that is producing this element burns down and they can't supply this element anymore? And so we can see over here in the inspector view that they're currently producing 580 units. So let's do that what if analysis. Well, what if this goes to 0? So now the inspector here is interactive. I am going to interactively change this attribute to 0. So Perspectives gives you that capability to update your attributes of your graph elements through the application. And for many, many data types, you can also commit that change back to the original data source. Okay, but anyway, so I'm going to press 0, and you can see how the visualization updated immediately. So we now see the problem, where it is in the chain, and the problems that are happening downwind of that issue. So if we want to, we can drill in and see just the problem, or we can see the whole thing. We also have the ability to apply nesting here to show us categorization of what's happening in our chain and where is it happening. So we are going to do grouping first by location. In this case, the factory. Where are these elements being made? And so let me zoom in here quickly. And so you can see the elements and the factories in which those are being made. And we can add another level of nesting to show, well, where are these factories? So we're also going to locate do nesting by region. And so now we can see not only do we have a problem in our chain, we can see what factory and what region where we're having the difficulties. And so this will help us not only find the problem, but to understand how to best fix it quickly. Okay, now we are looking here at one chain. And our problem here is this with this brass clip. How does that affect the other chains in our organization? So we can go to the location interaction and we can say, and there's where the factory is with the problem. And we can say expand everything. And so now what this does is this is showing us where all of the problems are in all of the chains across our enterprise at one time. So we can, as we did a minute ago, we can zoom in just to the problematic chain and look at that. We can zoom far into the problem, or we can do what we're doing here. We can zoom out and we can see how the problem is going to interact with the other chains in the company and where we're also seeing other trouble as well. So yes, again, that is now part of Perspectives. We also have the fraud demo, which is shipping with Perspectives now. And so what we have done here is that we're working with financial transaction data and account data and attributes associated with accounts. And we're looking for potential fraud rings. So here on the left side, we have a tree view, which is showing us what background analytics have found. So we can have some background AI running and showing us, here are some potential fraud rings. These are things that we should investigate. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. So we are going to open the 6 accounts sharing 5 features. I'm going to open that case. And so here we can see not only in the clear visualization, but also the graphics are helping us. So we have different graphics for the accounts, the phone numbers, and so on. Now we are going to apply, as you can see here, we have many layouts, but we're going to apply the hierarchical layout so we can see the visualization just in a different way. And then we're going to apply swim lanes. So now we're going to have categorization. And very quickly, we can see here are our accounts in question. And here are their locations, the emails, and the phone numbers, and how many of them are sharing the same phone number. And we can look and see the overlap. Yes, some of them are sharing the same phone number, and other of those are sharing the same address. And so we can explore, for example, that IP address further. What else is happening there? Now, let's say that we find that one of these accounts is of particular concern, and we want to know, okay, what have they been doing? So we can go and select that, and we can say load the neighbors. And so watch this. We're going to interactively load data from the database. And so it loads the transactions that have been recently associated with the account. And we can further our investigation here, and we can load those neighbors, and we can find out, well, which merchants were involved and which IP addresses. So you can see how the visualization continued to update, and we now see the merchant and also another IP address that's been involved, and maybe we need to explore this as well. Okay, very good. All right. So let me bring up here our visualization. So this was an overview today of our new capabilities that are available in Perspectives 13.2. Thank you very much for joining us today. We discussed the continued improvements to our React-based modern web client framework. We discussed how we have created a new native React chart view and timeline view. We've added support for invokable dialogs in our the modern web client framework. We also have made it easier to integrate into your Angular or your web components environment. We have improved hierarchical layout, and we've seen a reduction of edge crossings up to 30 to 50% on average for hierarchical with orthogonal edge routing. We also have done additional testing for our map views, so you can use those in more places as well. And we have added some new demos to our perspectives that are now shipped. So thank you very much for joining us today. So contact us at tomsawyer.com to find out more about Tom Sawyer Perspectives or to start your free trial. Or please reach out, and we are glad to schedule a call for you with one of our graph and data visualization experts. We can help guide you to the best solution.